option. This is a unique way to do it. Some of you are familiar with the sandwich lease option on a single family where you lease it from the owner under a master lease. You have an option to purchase at one price. You sublet to a tenant, give them an option to buy from you at a higher price. When your tenant's ready to buy from you, you exercise your option from the owner, and then you sell it to the subtenant at a higher price. In the meantime, there's a spread between the rent you're collecting and the rent you're paying the owner. Okay, you do the same thing essentially with a commercial property. So we've got now we've got a landlord who's got leases with the tenants. Okay. Now you could step in the middle and then you master lease it from the owner with an option to buy. And then the leases with the tenants are assigned to you. So you're the master tenant. The tenants who are in there are subtenants of yours. Now you're not going to give the tenants an option to buy, obviously, in this case, like you would in a single family. But you have an option to buy from the landlord, let's say, for 5 years. Now, what are the reasons for doing this? Well, number one, less down. If let's say the seller had a mortgage or the seller didn't have a mortgage, it wouldn't matter, and you rented the property under a master lease from the owner, that means you wouldn't have to go get a loan. And you could probably get away with much less down. Instead of 20, 30, 40% down that a bank would require, you could get away with as little as 5 to 10% option consideration. That would be non-refundable. If you exercise your option, you get that credited towards the purchase price. If you don't, you lose that money. Now, it's kind of a hedge against risk, because if the deal turns out to be a bad one, well, gee, it's better to lose 5 or 10% than to lose 20, 30, 40% and be on the hook for a loan. On a 5-year deal or a 3-year deal, and this is typically a seller who's burnt out, maybe doesn't have money for repairs, or just doesn't want to deal with the property, you could improve the property by physically doing things, doing improvements, finishing out units that were unrentable, providing services and amenities, better management, and get the rents up. So let's say your option to buy was for $800,000, okay? And through some magic of yours, including putting some money into it and so forth, maybe gets it worth $1.2 million. And let's say you had to put in $100,000 of improvements to get it there. So now you're in for 800 plus 900, and it's worth $1.2 million, which means you've got $300,000 in potential equity. Well, what do? Well, there's a couple options. You could exercise your option and go get a loan for $900,000, which is 75% of the appraisal. That's one option. Option number two is you exercise the option to buy and then sell the property, flip it to another investor for $1.2 million, and you pocket the difference. Option number three is you assign your option to another investor who exercises it directly from the owner. And to sweeten the deal, there's $300,000 in equity. If you sold your option, let's say for $200,000, leaving another $100,000 in equity on the table for the other investor, you just assign the option and then they exercise it directly from the owner. So it can be a very nice tool for dealing with a property that doesn't require a lot of money, doesn't require necessarily partners, except for the $100,000 for the repairs. You're still going to have to do due diligence in terms of an appraisal and do an inspection and so forth. But a lot of the things that lenders require, like a Phase 1 environmental and things like that, a survey, you can get away with not having to do. So very, very effective tool. It has limited applicability to a seller unless the seller, let's say the seller had an $800,000 mortgage and you just leased it with an option to buy for the balance and, you know, gave them, let's say, $20,000 or $40,000 down, that could be very effective. It could be very effective. Now, assuming the payment is good on this loan, so let's say the payment on this loan, the PITI was, I don't know, $8,000 a month. And you can get this to the point where the tenants are paying $12,000 a month through, again, improvements, better management, and so forth. In the meantime, you can have a nice cash flow spread there as well. All right? And this $100,000, you know, if the property is currently performing such that it's negative cash flow, that $100,000 might need to be a bigger number to cover the negative cash flow in the meantime. And again, if it goes bad and you can't get it better, no matter what you do, you can't get the rents up, you can't get the building turned around, well, you walk away from $40,000. And at the end of the lease, you're done. You didn't sign personally. The lease was to your LLC, and it was an LLC set up just for this deal. You have they have no recourse against you. So it's a really it's a win-win, but it's much bigger win for you because you win if you exercise, and you win if you don't because you limit your liability.